And like, we don't even know this year, are we going to have the first football game here? Is it going to be? Is it on?
Good.
I sure hope so.
It is?
Have
It's
you been
on
up
because
there?
we haven't been told anything, and we've
Have
asked.
you walked up at all?
No, haven't been
You
up
should
there.
Take a walk up, you'll
And-
see
okay.
the progress.
Because we want to know. We want to know how we are to prepare. Because the fact that we know that the band, their big fundraiser, was canceled because there was no guarantee it was going to be starting on the. It was supposed to be on the 27th. Football game on 26th. Spectrum of Sound was supposed to be on the 27th, and that was canceled. And that's the biggest fundraiser for the band, which they have lost out now this year because of that. And they can't set it up at another time only because of the fact that there are other competitions that are now scheduled.
And
now
it's
our
definitely
band.
canceled because there was an email went out, not to get off track here of what we're talking about, but there was an email that went out from the high school for students, and Spectrum of Sound is listed on there.
It is canceled.
Now, well, I just have a comment about that, because I was at the meeting where they talked about canceling it, and it wasn't just that they didn't know what the status of the stadium was. They said the original date for Spectrum of Sound, part of it overlapped with the Jewish holiday, so they moved Spectrum of Sound to a week earlier, and then some of the bands who normally come, who blocked out the weekend that Pennridge always has it, then they couldn't come.
No.
And so there were fewer bands. That's what Mr.
Well,
Benson said.
Yes, for one thing, yes, that it didn't overlap, because usually it's the first weekend in October is what they've done in the past. And this year, because of the Jewish holiday, they put it for the week before, they set it up.
So that
Now, they
would
knew
be
that
the
last, they
27th.
had that already set since last year, that this was gonna be the date, was September 27th. And so the fillers went out to all the schools, all the bands, and they had people coming in. Well, as soon as it hit that our bleachers, that Papiota was down, and we were starting up here, and there were no bleachers, and they weren't guaranteeing that the bleachers were gonna be in on time for the first football game, because you can't have a football game without bleachers. People could be standing around it. But for a band competition, you can't. You know, you have to have enough room for the bands to be able to sit there and be there. So bands then that had said, yes, we are coming, then start dropping out because they weren't guaranteed any, this. So as I said, their big fundraiser is gone. But that's, I didn't mean to get onto that subject.
Which is,
Is it?
yeah, I know
Yeah.
what you're saying, it's
It's
beside
beside-
the point.
Yeah.
So let's stay focused on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
yeah, I don't think anybody wants to take away from the, the
Concessions
things
for that's great,
Of the
but we
students
just
did.
needed to know that because I know Cheer didn't know. We've been waiting to get some kind of word what was going to happen because last year we had the popcorn and which everyone seemed to enjoy because that didn't interfere with what was going on at concessions. Concessions did not have popcorn and apple cider that we would do the hot cider stuff. And along with our other spiritware. So we didn't know, and we had been waiting to hear about that. But that's good to know that you are guaranteeing it is going to be the first football game on the 26th. So that is a good thing for us.
Nobody's guaranteeing
Are we
anything.
ahead?
Well,
Or are
because
we?
you-
But yeah, Mr. Loeffler can talk about
Yeah.
the status of the
I mean,
bleachers.
we said back in April that we were gonna do our best to have this up by September 26th, and it's looking very good, and it has, since the board gave us the okay to move ahead, so unless lightning strikes, we're gonna be open on the 26th.
Well, good. We appreciate it because we want to be a part of it, as usual. And the other thing, I know you're mentioning about names and whatnot. It just came to my mind, and it's probably stupid, but I was thinking of Pennridge, Path of Pride. If they're doing pavers or something, or walking, people are going to pay for little things. You could just have as Pennridge Path of Pride. I think more of the community, more if you're talking about alumni that maybe can't afford the bigger amounts, that they would be more willing to pay for a little brick or whatever on this Path of Pride.
That's great.
And having that.
Yeah, I mean, that's our, we don't want to just appeal to the big money people.
Right.
Because they're fewer and farther between.
Right.
And, and this is a community project, it's for alumni, for, you know,
For
everybody.
everybody.
So you want to make it accessible
Mhm.
to everybody.
Right, so
And,
that's,
you know.
that's just something that came to my mind. I'm-
You could put that name on the lights, you know, that are gonna be in between those walks, the path, you know, the path of pride. That's a great
Yeah,
idea.
yeah, yeah. That way you have Pennridge and, you know, it's
Exactly.
one thing. And I'm sorry, if I can't, since I haven't been up there yet, how is it set up for the handicap? I know, no, I am not in a wheelchair, but I know there are people who are, and sometimes when I get really bad, I end up in a wheelchair. And I like to go to the football games, and I just want to know, is the pathway okay? And
Correct, the pathway we put in when we put the stairs in is ADA,
okay,
and when you go up through the gate, there'll be a paved surface to go to the home visitor site
yeah.
that have ADA seating.
Good, good. That's all I want to know, because I know other people, but because, you know, that concerns me too.
A ramp to get up to the bleachers,
Okay,
it's
okay,
all ADA
okay, great.
And there's actually, if you're up there, there's specific handicap seating
spots, yes.
all along the front.
Okay,
For wheelchair,
Yeah.
okay,
for wheelchairs.
okay. That's great. Okay, thank you.
All right, anything else before we talk about our next steps? Okay. All right, so I guess we need to pick another, I think we need to have another meeting before,
We need to bring back
Or the
some
22nd.
different prices for you based on what Joe said, so that we'll be. And maybe we should start talking to some people that have expressed, you know, some interest to people about what they could donate. Maybe that will be a gauge. But we'll go back, we'll make these lower, obviously, we're like way high, we're not just high, we're way high, so we'll do them. I'm counting on, you know, the pavers, I'm counting on the small pieces, I'm counting on the people donating more so than somebody saying, I want to sponsor this building. We'll get some of them, but
Yeah.
I don't want to knock them out and say, well, did you think about that? Because if we're doing a brochure, we have to get everything we know of, even in the naming of the field, just name of the field, and we'll just have a contact and just bring a price, and then the board can just say yes or no to that. So let's not negotiate that, let's let that be done, you know, when somebody brings that. We'll try to get some of these smaller ones.
That way someone just doesn't look at this and go, wow, this isn't gonna work for me.
Right.
You know.
I mean, couldn't someone donate one name toward the team room or something? That you don't have to write a check for the whole thing, but I would like to put some money toward the team room. And so you have a list of people who contributed for that. Isn't it possible that we could group people
Sure.
and have no one expected to write a check for $250, but a piece of it, what, $100, $50? What part are you willing to give? And whatever we get, we're ahead of the game, aren't we?
I think, I like Joe's idea about putting together, if we put together all the pieces and if we have our goal, and I don't know if we want to make our goal, we didn't have a firm goal last time, if we want to make it 2 million or 1.9, so it's just below 2 million. But then putting together the pieces to say, all right, our goal is to sell,
X
you know,
number
this-
of bleachers,
right, this many pavers, and if we add up all those things, that equals 2 million.
Okay,
or
that's good.
1.9.
So do we
So
want,
many signs, so many pavers, so many roads.
Yeah.
Right, and then that way, and then the sponsorship could be part of it, because I think we all agree
And
that
then
we want to do all different, you know, have all these different approaches and have a,
Yes.
right, and do, you know,
And
all the
then-
things.
Christie, make these fit our goal?
Right, like, well, yeah, that was Joe's suggestion.
Yeah.
Scoreboard
So-
and the weight room, we'll still give a recommended sponsorship for the other ones, but if we have some of them that we're trying to get for the first start of the first initial campaign, I think we can get them.
So I think you count on how many possible signs would fit.
Right.
You count on how many pavers would fit,
Right,
so I can get you that.
and I would think we would probably only want to count the home side for the bleachers,
Yeah.
Right.
because I think it would be less likely that we would get the visitor side, so.
So do we want to wait until the next meeting then, that's our intention to set the fundraising goal then?
Let's bring some prices to you, and let's set 2 million, right? And then let's work on that and see whether,
Because
what
that's
it
an
takes
easy,
to
it's
do
a nice,
that.
well, yeah,
And then
'cause-
you can say, wow, we're not gonna make that, or say,
Then we
wow,
know
this is
if we're
easy.
close.
so
if
let's
we're
start with,
way off.
for right now, say
Let's shoot
2
for
million,
2.
you come back with the prices and say, does it add up? Does it add up to 2 million, and if it doesn't, then we say, okay, maybe we're going for 1 million, or we're going for 1.5,
1.2,
yeah.
Okay.
Is there any way we can start to get to the alumni Is there any way to reach them through school? Is there
Mr.
email?
Hollenbach said he has some connections already, he's just waiting for a piece of paper to.
Yeah.
He's
If we
waiting
could
for
do
prices.
He's
Yeah,
waiting
if
for
we
a
could
piece
do
of
that
paper from the
without
school.
a lot of cost, get to these folks and let them know that this is a fundraiser and
Maybe we
will
should
you help us?
develop a form.
Yeah, will you help
someplace.
us? Will you contribute something toward this, the stadium?
He has some people that he thinks would donate to a specific part, so I don't want to automatically knock out, you know, the fact that someone will not contribute to weight room or scoreboard. I would like to get those prices, even if you get one of them, getting one that's right price, and maybe the price needs to be 75 or something, or 80,000 instead of 250. But if you can get one, maybe somebody else will join in the other ones. And maybe the group that does the soccer will do a team room with their name on it, and that will be when they go. So maybe they have a goal to reach for as well. So we'll come back, we'll right size some of these, but I want to get started, and we'll pick a goal of 2 million, we'll figure out what it takes with all the signs, the pavers, a combination of bleachers, and if we do this, you know, and donations, you know, we'll hit this goal, so that's doable for us.
Right, well, maybe if we made those, the bigger things, the team room and the concession, if it was $100,000, and then that would be $10,000 a year, and then
Right.
that's along the lines of what
Right.
the torch was saying, that they could do in 1 year, so maybe say, you know, would
Correct.
you be willing to do that
There
for
we
10 years, and then look at what they're already paying,
Maybe
Right, and if
100,000
it's
is about
close,
enough
yeah.
for those.
and it just sort of bumps them up to they just have to put in a little bit more
Right.
than what they're paying,
Right.
and make that a 10-year commitment, so maybe that would be something, maybe $10,000 a year is more.
Joe was saying $2 million is basically $200,000 a year. So that's, you know, if you look at it, you know, doing that way, that's probably something we can do, X number. We'll do what it takes to do 2 million, say 1/10 of it a year. So I don't think this is something we can.
Well, compared to 17,000 and then
Yes.
3,000, that,
Yeah.
which, yeah.
Yeah.
But this is
We
new.
have high hopes here on the ridge.
To be fair, all these things in Dublin were already built. We're starting to go. And right now, the momentum's high and people are excited when you're doing something new. You're just talking about your drawings and going out to have your architect work on the other phase. So people like to do new. So, gonna count on that. Count on Joe to get all the money for that. Joe?
Okay, and so, all right, so we're gonna say 2 million for now, see if that works.
Someone going to contact the service clubs? Ask them what they think they can do for us?
Do we wanna contact them now, or do we wanna wait till we
Till we
have?
have this worked out.
We'll organize.
Maybe we should, can you talk to the Rotary Club? Because maybe just to get an idea of,
Exactly. What are they willing to do?
you know, and just we can kind of incorporate their feedback into it, you know.
The Booster Club last year in the Facility Summit, they were very interested in doing a lot also.
Which booster club?
The football booster
The
club.
football booster club?
They apparently had a lot of money that they were interested in donating. So I don't know, do you have that connection?
I'm just
Jeff
back
does.
here this year.
And I
Oh,
said
you're
I
out
would
of
work.
the booster club.
I told Jeff I would work with him on his, because he has some potential big name people. We gotta get the prices right, so they know, you know, I'm interested in donating or sponsoring, but what is it? You know, how do I do this? So we gotta get this.
Well,
get
and
this sheet
even,
done.
you know, reaching out, like you're saying about organizations, I mean, there's Steep Run, there's the Yellow Jackets, which is your youth soccer, you know. I think at the very least, make them aware, contact them, let them know this is what's happening and that we're looking for
Will you help us?
any help from these organizations. You know, Green Jackets, the Little League, I know, you know, Little League's not up there, but it's a lot of, it still involves everybody. Rotary, the Lions Club.
Joe has the Rotary.
Rotary.
Let's put people's names down for this stuff. I'm gonna start working with Jeff on his bigger name people, and once we get this, we'll bring this back to you. So I'm gonna work with Jeff Hollenbach. Who's the contact for the Yellow Jacket, Steve Run?
There's also the Owls Club, right? Yep. Isn't there an Owls Club?
Somebody
Yeah,
know
I
that?
don't know what,
I
I
don't
don't know what they do.
Owls? You have Owls?
And lions.
Joe
Okay.
gets
The
Rotary,
Lions Club.
Owls,
And lions.
and Lions.
Oh my.
Oh my.
And what about all the school booster clubs? And I mean,
parent groups.
All the parent groups, because even if they, I mean, just to get them involved somehow, I mean, and different groups might want to do different things, if they could donate money, but the one thing that they have too, and especially the elementary schools, they have, you know, a huge
Wow.
network of people. They have people who are involved and who want to be involved.
They will do paper, I know that the papers are.
Yeah, I mean, because, you know, at
Yeah,
that
the
level,
papers,
this
yeah.
is, you know, this is their future.
Youth elementary.
Right.
whatever,
You know, this is what
But if we-
they're coming into.
But
This-
yeah, if we could get all the elementary schools to promote them at their
Exactly.
events.
Get the
so-
brochure out, I mean, I agree with you. Who's doing deep run yellow jackets and green jackets?
Well, I have green jackets, I can try to get deep run.
All right, Suzette has all of them.
Yeah.
Until she tells me no.
That usually happens when I don't come to a meeting.
You can't win whether you come or
I'm
not.
working with Jeff, I'm gonna, we're going elephant hunting over here, so for these big numbers.
Right, well, maybe you can, after you talk to him too, and see that, about the, if the numbers are right, you know, what.
Well, I'm gonna start, you know, right off the bat, you know, reducing the 250 to the 100. I think that suggestion is better, because that's 10 a year,
Yeah.
10 a year. You know, some of the bigger corporations, you know, might look at 10 a year. Scoreboard, probably drop that to 30. I think the scoreboard's not gonna be a problem.
I think the
Yeah.
scoreboard is your, like you said, Giant in Quakertown, or
Correct.
Yeah.
Grandview, or,
I don't know, you
I
might want to
think
leave it at
All
40.
right, let's leave it at 40 until someone says no. And the press box, probably 75 is too much, but the thing is, I don't think that 40 or, you know, or
Maybe
25 or something, or
50, maybe
50.
50. Is it more visible than the, which one's more visible?
Everybody's looking at the scoreboard.
Everybody's looking at the
Yeah,
scoreboard,
so-
everybody's looking, when they walk in the stadium, they're looking at the press box. So those are two very visible.
Yeah, so maybe they
places.
should be equal.
Why would we make them both 40?
I mean, really, the visitors are gonna be looking at scoreboard, the scoreboard,
Press
the press box,
Right.
so maybe that's not as
But
valuable.
everybody
as
walking to
everything.
their seat is going, as you
Right,
walk up, as
everybody
you
looks
step
at the
up,
You're really seeing them
you go
walk up.
you go get some to eat, and you step back up, it's right up there. So the thing is,
It's
very visible.
equal.
I'll make them both 40 and work on the other ones for that.
Or
stuff like
50,
that.
just because it's, I don't know if that's, yeah, if it's too much or,
Now we're going back up.
yeah. I don't know.
We're trying to go this
Well,
way.
well, you had the press box at 75, so.
I did. That's fair. Okay, we'll work on these other ones. So, we have our groups we're gonna contact, we'll work on these. Does anybody have a problem with the memorial? We need to get a price set on the paper, and we'll talk about it. If someone's willing to donate, then we don't need to worry about paying for the paper. So therefore, maybe the price is $100. You know, we don't have to worry about buying the paper, and someone will help out with that. So let's work on the price and the size. We'll go back and remeasure based on what they're drawing, how many we can get in between. I like the idea of the
The path of pride.
path of pride that goes up there, because we can put little tags on those lights going up there. So we'll figure out how many we can get, we'll come back and let you know how many are gonna fit all the way up and down. I think that's gonna be really something that's doable, people will do that, that's in their.
can we contact Council Rock and find out, because since that was similar, what their, I don't know how old that fundraiser was for their, in the picture that I had, the lights, but to kind of, you know, get an idea
I'll contact them,
what levels they were at, dollar-wise.
I'll
I don't
contact
know
them.
if 10,000, you know,
Yeah, so that's the like the rock.
high.
What about having a bust of Papa Yoda or something? I mean, something, this has been such a hot button for the district that Papa Yoda was so important to this. So if we had Hellman at one end and Yoda at the other or something like that, that this is not, we don't have to pick and choose between the two. You can say, hey, look, we're not trying to diminish anybody's in the eyes of the community. And maybe there would be people that would be willing to donate to a Papa Yoda memorial or something in the stadium or whatever.
Maybe this memorial opportunities is the Papa Yoda Club,
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Hellman Club.
Wall of Fame we talked about.
Yeah, I was gonna
that-
say a
I was
wall
gonna
of
say, That was
fame.
brought up, the wall of fame, and, you know, names, plaques, you know,
Right,
put on
because-
there such as that. and-
Why just limit it to those two
Yeah.
people, and
Yeah.
then, you know, as people can, you know, yeah.
So we keep the levels and then also look at something special for Coach Hellman, Coach Papa Yoder.
Anybody else we want to, I mean.
We did
Dr.
say we were
Booth,
going to
Dr.
continue to honor the legacy of both of them, so I
Yeah.
think we should somehow.
I'm saying being
And you don't have to
specific,
pick and choose then. Both, they get equal billing and
because they could do it
there
now.
should be nobody that's been out of shape about that.
Can that be something that's put into the specs, or is it too small to, I mean, I would think since we have that drawing, like, where it might be and what it might look like?
The wall of fame, or?
Yeah, a wall of fame or some,
Well, we did talk about that in early stages, we kind of got away with it in the drawing, so I could look into it, yes.
okay.
You know, I'm not sure about bringing Poppy Yoder's name over here, just listening to the local people. That's Poppy Yoder over there. That
Well,
field is Poppy, it's
I
got,
don't understand that, but
you
that's
can't bring Poppy over here. You can have his name here just to say dedication.
Yeah, I think if
You
you're
know,
putting it on a
on a
wall with
wall of
all
fame,
different people
yes.
that have been
I
important
don't
through
think you can
the
dedicate
district,
this
things
field.
like
I
that.
think, and I've already had an email from Poppy Yoder's granddaughter about that field. So they're dedicated, that that's his field. This is
Yeah.
Hillman's field, that's his field.
And they have memorial opportunities, they can do it in honor of him, at whatever level.
So it's not that we can't bring it up on the wall of fame here, but I
Right.
don't think we can start dedicating this field.
No, I didn't
Oh,
mean
no.
that, I mean just
Yeah.
some
Some
kind
Poppy
of,
Yoder field.
some kind of a-
And maybe we don't have it all day, maybe we do what we can, and someone says, listen, I have my own idea, my family's willing to give this for that, and the board can accept it like accept any other donation.
You know, and that may
We
be
can't
something
think of
that
everything.
would be more appropriate of a memorial to be there, as opposed to here. You know what I mean? I mean, that is Poppy Yoder Field,
whatever.
you know,
However they
in
wanna
the
do it.
future,
Maybe we
yeah.
can come and do that, so we'll get the ones we know of, and let some people be creative with their checkbooks. Okay.
To me, except that if people aren't going there, they can put it here where 5,000 people a game see it, and we're down there where a few hundred do, whatever.
So I have contact Council Rock.
Okay.
Do you have anything for Dr. Radigan to do while she's here?
Ah, watch it, Dr. Lamar.
Strike that from
Otherwise,
the
tomorrow your list is growing.
Whenever you assume
It's only Thursday
It'll be on your
tomorrow.
list tomorrow.
Strike
7 a.m. up there, can come early.
Strike
Take
that
that
from the
from the
record.
minutes.
Sorry. My
Did you say you wanted his heat off tomorrow, or no air conditioning tomorrow, I can do that.
Thanks, Jeff.
Well, you know.
See you, Jeff, after me.
Do we want to contact any parent groups now, or do we want to wait?
I would recommend, let's get these things done correctly.
Work all this out.
Get it all done so we have a brochure. But I agree that the booster clubs and the PTOs, I think they would like to. Other school districts, you know, everybody helps out when you have a big district project, because we're all working for the same thing. Their kids are gonna be up here at some point, you know, in the band, as a spectator, you know, in a class activity. They have their class picnics up here. Everybody gets up here at some point. Even if you don't do anything except be a member of a class, you have a class picnic up here.
I know there's some parents who would like graduation to come back, so.
I hear that a lot.
For $1 million, I say yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, I mean, that's, who knows what will happen, and that's to be decided in the.
It's gonna be a dome that opens for nice weather and closes
Right.
for,
Exactly.
If they donate enough money.
there you go.
Pretty your name.
Dome.
The dome.
Okay, can that be a sponsor?
Dr. Radigan just said, I didn't volunteer, she volunteered herself for that next meeting.
Yeah.
To make the dome happen.
Oh, yeah, so, okay, so next meeting, so the board meeting is on the 22nd.
They told us this is the meeting that we have to have commitments by, that if we want whatever we're gonna do, we gotta, if we, like, we don't want the parking lot, was the primary thing that they said that we had to tell them by the September board meeting.
Right, we already voted, well, we voted, but,
I voted on Monday night to,
Sorry, I missed it.
yeah, to do the survey.
to go forward with all the bid specs, so, but,
Yeah.
right, Mike did say at the last facilities meeting that if we want to take something out,
We would need to
particularly,
know that.
right, we need to know at the
By the September
September meeting.
meeting, that's really what I was referring to.
Right.
So what would we have to do to make a decision on, and he basically said the parking lot, that was his biggest issue, he said the rest of it.
Because everything else is still gonna be in the cabin, whether
Gonna be
there's
there.
a building on it or not, so it's still impervious surface, right?
So what would we have to do to come up with that
And the
decision?
8th and the 10th we have meetings.
Right,
Well, you know, I also think, unless, you know, the board is somewhat adamant not to do it, and I don't know how that is, I think Mike said the savings and the site wouldn't be that big,
Oh, it is.
so
I don't have that date yet.
to make that decision now, we might save $2,000 or $3,000, I'm
And
just
this
throwing a
week's
number out.
Right.
Uh,
I don't know.
Well, I guess what interests me is kind of a cost value.
Maybe if we did it
What
next
is
Thursday.
it gonna cost to do it, and
I
what
didn't have that.
what value is there to us?
This whole
Right.
week.
either just qualitative or quantitative, and that would help us know whether we think it's worth putting that cost in the project. And I think that's the,
Gives us-
we'd like to have some basis on which to make a decision. We're asking for help in helping us quantify the decision and
Right.
help us to understand if we don't do it, what is it gonna cost, not just not money value, but in functional value, what are we gonna lose if we don't do that? That would be a real value to us if we understood that by the time it's time to make that decision.
Well, I'll say it again because I said it up there, knowing the public, some of the questions I got were parking in the parking lot for some of the older people to get up that hill. I know a lot of older people, even at Hoppy Yoder, would sit on the visitor side because they didn't even want to come in. So I think that, my job is to put that out there to say, here it is, and then it's up to the board to decide. I wouldn't want to go as far as not doing it, and then people say, well, Jeff, why don't you put a parking lot there for, easier parking? So that's why I'm putting it there. I'm putting it there for mostly for the elderly people to get the field.
Okay, well, if that's explained,
Yeah.
that's why, then that's one of the reasons
That's
why.
really
That's a functional cost, that's what we're balancing against the financial savings. What is it costing the district in terms of convenience for the people that are trying to get to the game? Okay, that would help a lot.
So, let's see if everybody can do.
Now, as we were talking up there too, Pennridge could buy 2 golf carts like they do at Yonder Pigs with, a 3-seater and a 3-seater. We could have one specifically at the end of the driveway here for handicap that we could pick up, and another one maybe going through the parking lot, for families or, so for a cost of, 40,000 on 2 carts and some
As
kids,
opposed to 300,000 out here.
300,000, we're solving that problem and saving 300,000. So again, but the board has to decide that they don't want that next month, so we can stop the survey of that part and save some money there.
That would be really helpful if we had those alternatives, that we have some alternative to that says, hey, this is the problem, and if there's the convenience of the elderly people, but there are other ways of solving it other than bringing the buses and having them park closer, and that would really make it really helpful for us to help make a rational decision.
Brett, you had asked before for, more information, a justification for the parking lot. Can we get that information on the September 8th facilities meeting?
Facilities meeting, yeah.
What information are you looking for? Just what I said?
Yeah, I mean, whatever you can do to help us quantify the cost of the parking lot, the estimated cost of the parking lot,
Well, we know that number.
and the value of what you think you're gonna buy for that, and if we have alternative solutions that would help to solve the same problem for less money, then if we have alternatives to vote on, then that really makes the job a lot easier than say yes or no to something that's gonna hurt some group of people in the community.
Okay.
If we say, we don't care about you, we're not gonna help you at all.
Yeah, I think the parking lot there would really be a benefit, even for, not even just for people who, have a handicapped parking spot, which they could park there, but also some people who might not, but they have, they're incapacitated, temporarily, and then they could drop off, somebody can drop them off and go down, and then you're a lot closer. But also, if we're talking about fundraising, and you have that little parking lot that only has sort of one way in, we could, raffle off the non-handicapped spots there every year,
Yeah,
and,
$100 for park
Yeah,
for the
I
year.
actually,
we could sell them, or we could raffle them.
Raffle, oh yeah, right,
And then-
right. Run a raffle.
there's a high school
Yeah, I
in
don't know.
Maryland that did that with their reserve parking.
They did a raffle every year? Or they-
Reserve parking space, yeah, they raffled them or they, I forget what it was, or they sold them like a,
Can we raffle things?
If it's a moneymaker, why not? I think that's a really good idea, if there's a
but I
way.
think it's
Yeah,
still
I think it's
for,
very good, because a raffle is sort of like a
Raffle's
game of
different than
chance.
gift, though.
Right.
It's different than a gift. Depends on how you work.
Right,
That's
but
the best thing I can do.
check policy. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about selling, a spot,
Well, because then it's just sold to the highest bidder. If you
Yeah.
have it where everybody has an equal,
Highest bidder.
Oh, we have an auction.
But are you then defeating your purpose of saying that this is there for, people that have a handicap?
No, there would still be
The
handicap
extra
spots.
Okay.
We'll still
There
have.
still would be
You were
handicap
talking about
spots.
roughly them ways, the extra.
No, not the no, there'd be handicap
No.
spots, and then there'd be some spots that aren't,
That you raffle there.
that aren't handicapped.
If you do that.
And it would just probably be for football games, I would think, or any other big events. Because wherever you, and then you'd have to have an attendant, right? Somebody to stop, say, where's your,
Right, and we always had that at South and
We had
we
an
had
attendant.
2 or 3 at
right,
every game,
yeah,
so that would be easy enough,
yeah.
to have an attendant there.
Were we
Okay.
charging for parking lot here for games?
The only lot, what?
The Owls
I mean,
used
the Owls,
to, they had a donation,
they
they used to ask for a donation. This year when we met with Dr. Creed and Fire Police were gonna do it, and they were gonna not charge for a donation, we asked them, and we said, if you wanna be compensated with a gift, let us know. I don't know if you remember that, Dr. Radigan, they didn't really get back to us, I don't know if they're gonna do it for free, or at the end they're gonna say, hey, can you make a donation to our
The Percy Fire Company?
fire police, yeah.
Fire Police.
That did that one small lot there, that was the
They used
close
to do
one.
the Owls, yeah, it wasn't our
Did they do
land.
the entire Owls if we used that?
Um,
Because I
Yeah,
know
they-
like
they
you
went
could go
pretty
into
far back.
that from the back side, not just,
No, they didn't let you in from the backside.
no,
You had to come in off the church or off of the school
the
side.
front, the
Yeah,
school
you
side,
couldn't get
yeah.
in through the back. They didn't let people in the back of them? I don't think so.
I know there were times when
Some
that
cars
lot
stopped back
was used.
there.
Yeah, and,
Well, I can see that letting you in and parking back there, but I didn't think they let you in that way. I
They
thought-
did.
Did they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
All right, so we need to pick another meeting date, and we were looking at the calendar, and, 2 weeks from now, there are meetings every night, the week of the 8th,
And high school.
And high school.
and the high school open house is, so that night, or that week is difficult, so we have next week, so we were talking about maybe the 4th, so we could do maybe September 4th, the 3rd or the 4th, I think the 2nd would be too soon. Or we would have to do the week of the 15th, which we couldn't do Monday night, there's already a meeting, so it could be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, although, do you have VOTEC on Thursday that week?
I do.
VOTEC meeting, yeah, so it would be Tuesday or Wednesday, so we could either do the 3rd, the 4th, the 16th, the 17th, and then our meeting's the 22nd, so, I would lean towards, try to do it on the 4th.
I agree.
And that way, if we need something else to come together, so we can have everything
Plus, we have
together.
the facilities on the 8th, so if something comes up on the 4th that we need to talk to the facilities committee, we can do that on
Okay,
the 8th,
right,
before it goes to the board.
so is the 4th
I
good?
can do either the 3rd or the 4th.
Fourth.
Either one of those.
I would rather get something to you, because what the board has to approve is your sponsorship dollar amounts. And if you're gonna do a campaign, I want the board to be able to vote and do that. So if we do the 4th and we still need to work on it, you still have that week before. So I'd rather do
Right, if
something
we-
and
yeah,
and
so-
then if you're good with that, we can still have the meeting the week before, just to work on other pieces that's looking at where we're gonna go, how we're gonna do that. But I'd rather have two.
Would the board also need to vote on it, if there's a budget for the campaign? Like if we're gonna do mailings and
Yes.
stuff, so we would need a budget and
Yes.
the board would have to vote on that.
Yep.
And so so the board would have to vote on the campaign budget and then all the pricing. And then do we need to have like a sample of the
We'll have,
materials?
well, what we'll try to do is get a sample, a brochure, even if we don't have prices in it, we'll try to get something to you that's a sketch, what it would look like.
For next Thursday?
Yeah, as much as we can.
Yes.
And not for next time.
Not for next Thursday. So maybe the week of the 15th then.
All right, we'll get prices, but
Right, but, and then also we would need, if we're gonna be doing a mailing to the alumni, then we need to have like a sample letter, I guess. And so the 3rd or the 4th, anybody have a preference, can we do the 4th,
the
is that?
4th will be better for
Okay,
me.
yeah,
Fourth or the
4th. Okay, so the next meeting will be September 4th. Actually, another thought. A kickoff event, that was the other.
Yeah, that's the other thing we talked about.
Right, so the kickoff event, the first home game is the 26th. So, I mean, I don't know how big we want it, I mean, there's gonna be a lot of people at that game. It's gonna be a lot of excitement
I would
just to
think
come
so.
see the bleachers. So I would think we would wanna do
Absolutely. Everybody-
something at that event.
Handouts, you know, handouts with all this information.
Right,
Absolutely.
Papers, you know,
Mhm.
wall
A
fame.
Be a good night to
brochure.
do it.
Sign.
A brochure for
26th.
26th, yeah, we can do that.
well, right, but then the question is, if the board approves the prices on the 22nd, can we get
Yeah,
things
we can have a
printed?
design,
If
we
you
can have a
have-
design
we-
to drop the prices.
And then,
If
okay,
you have a recommendation, if we're good on the 4th with prices, then we can build it, even though it's gonna be in draft form, put the dollar in. If we change it, we change it, but we'll put in what you tentatively
change the
agree
dollars.
with on the 4th, and if you need to change it, you change it before we get to the 26th. If you- We'll try to get something done then for that week, the meeting the week before the board meeting. So we need to get the prices set and get some.
Well,
So is that-
you really need, I guess this is a real committee to be discussed, does it need to go to the facilities to be discussed, to be approved as a board, or is this committee?
yeah, this is
This is
this
our-
is
this is-
our committee.
Okay,
It's
so
on the-
what happens here
yeah.
can't go to the board.
Exactly.
Yeah.
On the agenda for the board meeting.
Yeah,
Just like we did the ad hoc field committee, everything went through them and they approved going out to bid for the soccer field, practice field up there. So they stayed there, when it was done, the committee was done.
right.
I remember.
So another potential donor would be Tiger Printing, right? Because the person that owns it, he's an alumnus of Pennridge. So, and he's based in Telford, right, but he's an alumnus and he's part of the Education Foundation as well, so,
He'll do our part.
yeah, so he can, yeah, so he's another potential
So
donor.
is our goal for a kickoff then September 26th?
So,
Yeah, so I guess that's another thing we need to talk about, just, I mean, in the minimum, we would just have all the brochures.
Do you do a press release, Joe?
Should make an announcement too, that
Yeah,
night.
we'll do some specific invites to people like for savings and some of the bigger donors that we think
And
might.
you can go out on the district.
Oh, and then we could also do like people who are in, well, I mean, as we do, like they could do a tour or,
Yeah, we'll see.
um,
I mean, I thought we'd do it maybe right up on the field, maybe the tent.
oh, yeah, okay.
Right up on the, where the concession stand's gonna go, right at the end.
Yeah, and then, I don't know, I
VIP
mean,
tent.
Bob Hitt from the, with the, and the Education Foundation talked about, I mean, I don't know what he looked into, but he was talking about doing something with the car.
Yeah, I did talk to Hayden
Oh, right.
Township.
Oh, okay.
They're very interested. in doing
Oh,
that.
Oh, they are? Yeah, raffling off a car.
Really?
Yeah. And, I mean, what Bob was saying was that, I mean, I don't know, what they do, but he said if you sell a limited number of tickets for a certain amount of money, and so, I mean, you might be able to raise like $20,000.
Right, I figured if we sold 500 tickets at $100 a piece, $50,000 in revenue, we could probably get the car from A&T, a nice car at cost for about 30, maybe a little bit less. So we would profit at least 20.
And it would add excitement.
We could have the
Yeah.
tickets for sale, and we could
Right.
have the car, we could have the car at the game each game.
Right.
On the field of each game, that's when we sell the tickets right there. That's where I think the Lions and the Rotary, they're gonna be very helpful.
Oh,
They're
right,
the
well, see,
people-
that's the thing too, pulling in groups and getting some more manpower for,
help with that. Yeah.
yeah. Right, I mean, really, and just make it a community event.
I'll talk to Greg Shelley and see if there's anything that he would do. I also will talk to my 4 sons who graduated from here and are currently running our business and see if they're willing to come in with anything. I don't know who else we can get, but alumni that we are aware of.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
if
that's
there's
good. So-
4 of them, that covers that whole concession.
And he's dropping it to 100,000.
We have to,
Come on.
yeah, right.
It's now a bargain. It's now
Such a
bargain.
deal I have for you.
Yeah, well, I
You're
think
pretty cheap.
a lot, I think we've made a lot of good progress, a lot of good ideas tonight, so, any other public comment?
At the beginning of the meeting, you talked about how this isn't just for football. So I think you're using the stadium as a vehicle to raise funds because it's already been paid for with the 10 million bucks that you borrowed and the taxes that you raised. So to go out and say, look, spend 400,000 on this and 250 on that and 10,000 on this is using the stadium as a vehicle for raising money. And you said that you didn't want it to be just for football. But I haven't heard anything about a formula for dispensing the funds once you get them. So if it's not just for football, then tell us how this money will be spent besides just throwing it into the general fund and disappearing. You're raising it for several reasons from what I understand.
Well,
Get off the debt.
Yeah, we can get back.
Well, I'm just
Get off
saying,
the debt.
earlier in the meeting, you didn't say a word about the debt. You said this is not just for football, it's for other things like the band and all the other sports. And I'm sure some of the other sports could use new uniforms and equipment, things like that. I'm saying you're saying one thing, but it would be nice to
We didn't
know.
say anything about equipment or uniforms.
No, you didn't say that. You
No.
said the other sports. It was not just for football, is what you said. But you're not being specific, and I'm asking for specifics. What is it for if it's not just for
the entire
football?
school district,
It's
whatever
for-
that means.
But it's the money raised is to pay for the stadium. And if the stadium has already, and if somebody's contributing over 10 years and the school district pays first to complete the project, we have commitments, then the money goes back to pay off the debt or or put it into the capital funds to pay down, pay down the debt.
Okay, that's not what you said at the beginning of the meeting.
I don't remember
What did we
what you're
say?
saying.
I don't think any of us specifically said.
You said it would not be just for football.
The field.
The field.
It's the field.
Okay.
Stadium is-
Because everybody else is using the stadium, it's not just football, it's gonna be a whole lot of folks, so
It's
that's
not
what we
a
meant.
football stadium.
Okay.
Right, but the money we're raising is for the stadium. And I think for the board, and the reason that we're doing this now is that we haven't committed, the board's gonna vote in February for phase 2.
Then I would assume since these are one-time fundraiser amounts, it's not, well, you're going to space it out over 10 years. Okay, I understand. Let me finish, please. Is that you need to match the incoming funds. For instance, like if you're saying it's to pay for the stadium, I would assume 100% of that would go back into the capital fund or to retire the debt, however you guys. But I think that needs to be spelled out
Okay.
so that the community knows that this money isn't just going to dissipate or not be, something that you can say, okay, this amount was raised, here's the good that it did. I think you'd be better off. People are going to want to know the answer to
And I
that.
think that's a discussion at a finance meeting as well.
Well,
to
this
have.
is
This is a
the,
fundraising meeting.
right,
This
and
is
what
for
are you
the
doing
purpose
with the money?
Of fundraising. Our intention tonight was to go through the agenda and review these proposals of how we want to fundraise. And
When
I
you
agree
ask
that,
for people to give you money, most people want to know very
Excuse me, I didn't
specifically,
get to finish, Mrs.
how is it
Furlong.
going to be
You
used?
interrupted
I have
me,
3
and
minutes,
I didn't
ma'am.
get to
I have
finish
3
either.
minutes. I have 3
I
minutes.
think you've exceeded them.
Well, maybe I have, maybe I haven't. But I'm saying most people want to have a specific idea of how this is going to benefit the school. We're going to pay down the debt. We're going to put it in the capital fund, which is where the money came out of. I just think that people like that definition.
Well, I think if we say it's to pay for the stadium, then
But that's to go into the capital
that's
fund.
capital
I don't
fund.
think we can go to
Okay.
that point, I think we
Yeah,
agree
yeah,
that that's
yeah,
what it's
I
gonna
agree.
be.
And that's a finance discussion.
And then I think once if we set a goal and we say this is our goal for raising money for the stadium, and it might be, depending on what is voted on and how the bids come back and what it costs, it might be a part of it might cover most of it, but then the board would have to decide if we're gonna continue with advertising. I mean, we can only sell so many pavers, but if we continue with advertising, then that would be something the board would have to revisit and say, we're gonna continue, let's say the advertising is going well, let's keep going. And then we can decide at that point, once we've reached our goal for the stadium, then what do we do? Where's the money going then?
I just think people like definition.
Correct?
Good point,
Yeah.
okay, we don't need to argue that.
Okay, anything else? All right, so the next meeting is Thursday, September 4th, 7:30 PM here. All right, thank you.